you know, when you get to the end of the process, you've spent a lot of time setting things up, doing a good job of keeping your investors updated, getting all the paperwork filled out correctly, getting everything signed and put away in your files correctly is hard work, right? Especially at the end of a long process. But you know, part of that really shows how good of execution you're going to have as a company, right? And it's probably going to help you raise money down the lane if you need to do that again. So one thing that you need to do is try to set expectations for a close date, but be reasonable about the closing date expectations, right? So when you have people on board, everyone's instinct is let's get this closed, let's move quickly. You need to make sure that you understand all the steps that are needed to take before you get there. And setting a close date that doesn't make any sense is going to make it look like you don't know what you're doing, and then you're also going to disappoint kind of the expectations of people that are working with you. Just tracking down signatures is, you know, can take a lot of time out of your day. Use electronic signature services if you can. Does anyone have like a subscription to an electronic signature service? Okay, shut up. It makes a huge difference because tracking down signatures for people and getting them scanned back or mailed to you takes forever, and it slows down that process. Make sure that everyone understands their roles and deadlines. I use a written closing checklist, meaning these are all the steps that we need to take in order to get this closed. Ask somebody who's done them before to share a copy. Don't create this from whole cloth. But having a list of duties and who's responsible for them and meeting periodically to make sure that that happens is really important. Because otherwise, I don't know about you, but I do things in a really linear fashion. And so if I don't sit down ahead of time and think like this person can get this done, this person can get this done, I just wait until I hit that point and then I ping that person. And so planning and making sure that everyone's kind of going in the same direction I think makes a lot of sense. But the only way that you do that is do a closing checklist, okay? Requires a lot of time and organization to keep the close on track and to make sure that everyone's getting to what they need. For a closing checklist, you're going to want to have an entry for each investor, right? Because invariably you're going to have some investors who have signed a stock purchase agreement but haven't given you their tax information, or you know, have requested wire transfer instructions, or are going to mail a check, or all those other things that go into it. And so make sure that you have each of the investors listed on your closing checklist and what you need to get from them.
Can I mention one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Sharice has got a really good story where they closed a large round for Dewala. She didn't really go check in advance on schedules with everybody. One of the VCs was on safari in Africa.
Yeah.
So it stopped them for 2 weeks.
Well, you're sitting there doing nothing.
So everybody else was on hold for 2 weeks and they blew their close date, but she didn't check to make sure that all the people that had to sign documents would be ready to sign documents when the documents were ready to sign. Sounds like a detail, but it just brought it to a slam halt.
And a lot of those things like collecting signature pages, you can get done ahead of time. Somebody's attorney can hold on to them. I mean, that's just organization to just make sure that you're done with that. But yeah, I mean, you know, and list each document that needs to get signed, any other information. Because those are the kind of things that, like I said, I understand things move really quickly and you're doing a lot of things. Investors get irritated if you're constantly having to go back to them for information or signature pages and those kind of things if you can get them in one swoop. Don't forget to get W-9 forms for LLCs. I am going through that right now. That was one area that I was not as diligent about when I was working on it. And so now you're trying to track down people to get their social security numbers to file your tax return. And I'll let you in on a little secret. When you call somebody up that you've never talked to before and you ask them over the phone to give you their social security number and their address, there's a level of suspicion there that gets things, especially this time of year. And so a lot of times that's the hardest piece is, you know, people, you know, curious, you got to get over that hump. So that's something I'm learning the hard way. Organize your files after the close. Update your document receptacle. Make sure you have all the documents together. It's a lot easier to go out and figure something out, get a signature page, get a copy if you're doing it right away. It's hard if you do it a lot later. update your cap table and issue your share certificates, and you are done, hopefully. So